Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Bees. And I know that we just did a Taylor Swift album reaction here on the channel, but I mean, that's become expected. That was almost my brand for a while, right? We did those Taylor Swift reactions along my journey through her discography, but just as we ended, or we're beginning to end that journey, I had started off on another one. To be fair, I haven't paid as much attention to it, but it is deserved. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we continue our Lana Del Rey journey with Lust for Life. Now, looking back at what we've listened to so far with Lana, I've really gravitated towards Paradise, which, to be fair, more of an EP, but we dedicated Paradise to its own stream. I treated it as if I would any other album. And I also really gravitated towards Ultraviolence. Really liked the collaboration there with Dan Auerbach. It was a little bit more bluesy. And then with Honeymoon, we kind of went, I don't want to say backward, but we definitely heard a lot of production elements and instrumentation that we heard a lot of in the albums prior. So I don't really know what to expect out of Lust for Life, outside of other than, the cover of the album seems to keep consistent with her overall aesthetic there. Americana, this like off eggshell white, creamy, whatever the hell that color is, white. I don't know. I feel like that shade of white is like very Lana-esque, but she's standing in front of an old car. So it's this Americana thing. So just looking at it, I'm not expecting too much difference out of it. I don't know. You tell me. Before I get into it, let me know down in the comments whether or not this is a wholly different Lana album. Does it really set itself apart through her other albums? I don't know. All I do know is that here on the channel, we do host paid reaction streams from time to time, so that's kind of your way to maybe get my attention just to show me one song. I think it's a lot of fun. Everybody in chat seems to discover new music along the way, but when we started that, we did get a chance for me to react to Love and Cherry. I don't recall exactly how those songs go, so I have technically heard those songs before, but now I get to kind of see them within the context of the album that they were made for. So we did just watch the trailer for this album, which that's kind of weird, like album trailers. I guess it's not completely unprecedented, but it's got like this homage to the Twilight Zone with, different kind of objects suspended in air and floating, and yeah, she's pensive on her contributions to the world during, quote, such tumultuous times. So again, this album's like 8 years old at this point, but everything bad that's happened in the world happened because of Harambe. So Harambe died, tumultuous times. Lana Del Rey needs to make a contribution to ease our woes, so to speak, with this album Lust for Life. Now, every time I hear or say the phrase Lust for Life, I can't help but think of Iggy Pop, quintessential classic. By the end of this listening experience, I will have a new association with the phrase. Not fuck Iggy Pop. It's Lana time, bitches. But before we do get into it, please do let me know your thoughts on my thoughts as I react to this album. If you hate one of my takes and perspectives, let me know, and please dislike the video. If you ever want to catch us live, make sure you click one of the links down in the description. And if you want to see this reaction along with pretty much every other album reaction that we've ever done here on this channel, go ahead and check out my Patreon where you can get just that for $1. A bargain at double the price. So this is it. This is Lust for Life. Little bit longer of an experience here today, I think. An hour and 12-minute record is nothing to be taken lightly. So we'll see if the substance is there. 16 songs, 1 hour, 12 minutes. Lust for Life from 2017. What was I doing in 2017? Actually, 2017 was like a terrible year for me, looking back at it. If you don't like this album, don't worry. Norman fucking Rockwell is next. I thank you for reminding me, because I have been meaning to say that in one of these intros. I just want to get to that album, because I've heard so many good things about that album. There's one song in particular that I love off of that album, which was like the only Lana Del Rey song I really ever went to listen to for the longest time. So there you go. Anyway, let's get the party started here. Here we have Love.
Is it was yours and you can't refuse it. Seen so much you could get. I know it's enough, just don't make you go crazy, crazy, crazy. But you get ready, you get. Don't worry, baby.
R.I.P. Brian Wilson.
Don't worry, crazy, crazy. I get ready, I get all dressed up to go nowhere. Don't worry, baby.
So that's the song that that's the song that's going to get us started tonight. That's Love. And I believe, yes, so I do recall the music video for this one, but, you know, I guess the music video wasn't as distracting as they usually are. Here on the channel, I've said this before, I don't really dig music videos that much. It is just too much shit to fucking concentrate on. You put symbolism on the visual, it's distracting me from the symbolism that you put in the lyrics in the song that itself. And most of the time, I'm just listening to music. Can I just listen? Do I gotta watch music? Watching music is incredibly difficult. At least I think. Call it a skill issue. Call it what you want. But I will call this. This is what you come to Lana for. It's atmospheric. Although I was going to say atmospheric and bassy, but the bass on this song was like turned up to 11. I like during those like booming bass parts. It really adds to really just like the spatial awareness of the recording, I think. Now, got to give it up to a legend, right? Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, R.I.P., left us this year. So I'm saying this Don't Worry Baby. That can't not be a nod to Don't Worry Baby by the Beach Boys, one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. Just a gorgeous song, primarily for its vocals, so it makes sense that, you know, I think that's one of the big things towards Lana, right? It is her voice, her dulcet tones, as we have called them time and time again here on the channel. And I don't know if this is... I may be remiss to say this, and I may have said this before, but I think at this point through my Lana Del Rey journey, I can definitely say, you know, like one of the themes she uses is youth, and maybe this romanticizing of youth, because either she really likes still being young, or she's, you know, kind of pensive and needing those days back, you know, just calling back to a time when it was pretty simple. Although... I don't know how simple it was. Lana's made it no mistake that shit gets messy when she's involved. I mean, so far I'm not hearing anything too crazy out of this. Run of the mill in maybe the best way, right? This is if you know Lana, this is exactly what you eat up about Lana here, I think. But we'll move on. I do still want like another Lana Del Rey, like James Bondy kind of song, though. So maybe we'll get that one coming up here. What if I clocked it? Wouldn't that be crazy? Lust for Life, featuring The Weeknd. Titular track here.
Climb up the edge of the Hollywood sign, yeah, in these stolen moments. 'Cause we're the masters of our own fate. Boy, we're gold, and I was like, take off, take off, take off all your clothes, take off, take off, take off all your clothes. They say only the good die young. That just ain't right. Too much fun tonight. stay close. And I lust for love, and I lust for
So one of the things that I'm picking, again, it's only 2 songs in, but if this is setting the tone for the rest of the album, I'm really gonna like it. This is already starting off as like way more electronic. I feel, and not overtly, not on its face, but especially in this song, those deep bass tones that I'm hearing, I think are just synths. And there was a little bit of a like electric guitar distortion there towards the end. Okay, all right. So we got Lana Del Rey being credited as composer producer. I'm assuming that's going to be the case for a lot of these songs. Rick Knowles being the producer, and then obviously on this track we have The Weeknd coming in as the featured artist. I've never been the biggest Weeknd fan as far as looking into, you know, their discography and everything that they've ever done. It's like usually like one of those things where if I hear it, I do usually end up really enjoying it. I don't know. His falsetto is really nice. I think most of the songs I hear, there's some decent music going on in the background. Sure, the Super Bowl commercial or Super Bowl halftime show era, sure, it was a little bit derivative of like 80s shit, but hey, you know, c'est la vie, right? The Lana and Weeknd features always eat. Yeah, I thought that was a very apt feature here, and it worked quite well. But going into the lyrics, we're still on this theme of youth, and, you know, using lust for life as a way like, okay, well, you know, only the good die young, but, you know, it's the lust for life that like keeps us alive. So it's kind of, those two ideas are kind of diametrically opposed. But with Lana, again, she really relishes the messy, you know, I think there's this great Anthony Bourdain quote that I think kind of sums up a lot of Lana's philosophy in a way, which is like, the body is not a temple, it's an amusement park. Have fun. And I gotta say that, and there's not even like a ton of shit happening in this song as far as like substances or partying, but there is take off all your clothes, right? That's something there. That's an amusement park. Are you tall enough to ride this ride? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. We do also, at the top of the song, get references to the trailer of the album, you know, Climb Up the H of the Hollywood Sign. She's like in that weird Twilight Zone kind of inspired trailer there. You know, she like lives in the H of the Hollywood sign. And I'm trying to see if that's symbolic. Like just thinking about like H, like does she have like heroin issues? You know, maybe I'm looking too far into it. I'm probably definitely looking way too far into it. 13 Beaches. Orchestral Lana. We fuck heavy with Orchestral Lana here on the channel.
I'll get lonely, and baby, only then do I let myself recline. Can I let go and let your memory dance in the ballroom of my mind? If I kept hiding the fact that I can't deal, and that I've been dying for something real in the white sunshine, but you still can find me.
These little Radiohead beat loops in the background are driving me nuts.
Underneath the pines, yeah, for something real. The fact that I can't deal, the fact that I can't deal.
Nice little resolution with the strings there at the very end, and apparently the strings at the very top, somebody clocked this. The beginning of 13 Beaches is a sample from Carnival of Souls, circa 1962. So thank you for that. But I mean, make no mistake about it. Lana in this kind of orchestral soundscape is nothing that we haven't heard from her before, but to know that it's an actual sample there, again, just speaks to more of Lana's way of, nodding to Americana. So we actually had that in the first track with that callback to the Beach Boys. I thought that that's kind of an example there. And with this one, none of the Americana, so to speak, in the lyrics that I found, but a couple interesting things nonetheless. So, I mean, we just take the, title of this track, 13 Beaches. She references it here within the song. Took 13 beaches to find an empty one, but finally it's mine. With dripping peaches, I'm camera ready. So if we kind of break this apart, I think, again, am I looking too far into it? But, maybe 13's an unlucky number. Took 13 beaches to find an empty one. Maybe she's just looking to find time to be on her own and think about things. When you look at the expansiveness of a coastline into the ocean, or if you're from my neck of the woods, a giant fucking lake, it can kind of open up your mind a little bit, help you figure some things out. But everywhere I turn, there's something blocking my escape. So, okay, beach 1, beach 2, beach 3, beach 4. But there may be some other symbolism there within 13. But like, okay, finally we found the one. And her ass is dripping wet. That's what I'm going to interpret this line. It feels like a relationship in tumult, or a long lost love, and they're still not out of your mind, kind of a thing. And so you're just trying to find your little sanctuary, your little fortress of solitude. Unlike how in the new Superman movie, where there's not a whole lot of solitude because you got Alan Tudyk robots. Now, Alan Tudyk's great, but when I think solitude, I mean solitude. I'm not having Alan Tudyk robots in my fortress of solitude. That's just not happening. No robots allowed in my fortress of solitude. But I'm glad that Lana finally found her fortress of solitude on beach 13 here. The sounds into the lyrics are so good. Yeah, and that's like, I'm really appreciating how this has been produced so far. Like, it's not like overtly electronic, but like I said, I was hearing those little Radiohead doots in the background. So far, this being the most electronic Lana album, and electronic in terms of genre, not so much. I mean, everything's electronic these days and has been for a long time. But you know what I mean? It's not overtly electronic, but I think they are subtly bringing elements into the production, into the mix, that's just making it more interesting to listen to, which I think is, at least for me, it's needed. I not to say that I don't think some of Lana's lyrics or some of her songwriting or some of the compositions aren't like gripping on their own, but when a lot of it is slower, right? And I think when you put those little elements in there just to shake things up just a little bit, maybe a little nonchalantly, that goes far for me in my book. All right, moving on, we got Cherry. This one before. So that was Cherry, and I loved that. That was fantastic. know we'd listened to this before on one of the paid reaction streams. We're doing those tomorrow. Show up for them. We do those from time to time here on the channel. And I remember this one specifically from, these little interludes of, fuck and bitch and let's not forget fuck here. She really does operate on this duality of like class and messy. And I thought that those, talking about Rosemary and Thyme. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Yeah, no, love the ad-libs here. And like I said, I had heard some of these songs before, Love and Cherry, but I needed to hear them within the context of the album. And honestly, just to be refreshed of what they sounded like anyway. And again, it's more electronic. This one being a little bit more overtly using a lot of hip-hop elements there with a lot of the percussion. But like we're getting, I don't know if it was like the strings, there's like a guitar doing a little thing at the beginning. Like that. Yes. And we don't lose that guitar through the entirety of the song. And it's there in the background as the percussion really moves into the focal point, as the bass really moves into the focal point. And so again, we kind of do have a duality there again. So there's a duality on a couple different fronts here. The duality of like, okay, here's just like a simple little guitar lick. And then here's this more overtly in-your-face percussion and bass. A little, like I said, a little bit more in line with like hip-hop elements there, but still keeping it very Lana Del Rey at her own pace. Somebody said that Lana Del Rey makes 2 songs. One's to cry to and one's to strip to. And somebody else said, or the third one, crying while stripping. And I don't know about you. Maybe you're a Lana stan of the highest degree. Would you agree with that? Because I think there is a lot of truth in that. And none of those are bad. None of those are bad. But I find that to be a pretty fair comparison there. White Mustang.
Caught up in my dreams and forgetting. I've been acting like Armageddon, 'cause you held me in your arms just a little too tight. That's what the day I saw your white Mustang. Your white Mustang.
Has White Mustang been referenced before?
White Mustang. Your white Mustang. You're riding in Mustang. You're gonna hit me like lightning.
What was that?
You're gonna hit me like lightning.
All right, so that was White Mustang. That was pretty cute. Have we heard reference of a white car, a white Mustang, an old muscle car, or something like that? I feel like this has been referenced before. I could be completely wrong here. I got problems with the dude, and he's got a cool car, is what I'm getting out of this one. In the long journey of Lana Del Rey have an issue with some dude she can't get off her mind. I don't think I remember. I don't think so. I want to say early on there was reference to somebody's muscle car. So I don't know if this is about the same character there, somebody else in her life that she's calling back here. See, I pay attention to things sometimes. Now, I do really like, some of the car sounds in the back, of the engines just kind of like racing down whichever way that they're going. Although these whistles at the end are kind of just thrown in there, and I wish I could whistle. I can't really whistle that well. Summer Bummer. Whoa, wait, whoa. I don't know if you can have a song called Summertime Sadness and Summer Bummer. That's too much. I don't know.
You up in my daisy chains, hip hop in the summer. Don't be a bummer, babe.
chasing. I knew she'd notice like I missed the payment. Dang it, but bang it like my fingers. She prayed to God I made it, but banking like my Franklins. My neighbors start to hating. What?
They be not,
Huh?
we be not.
Hey.
Better run for cover for real. Go rebel, how I feel. Close the deal, pop a sale. Take the wheel, 2 pills on the lips, on the rail.
Truthfully, between you and me, I'm usually single when
You're my undercover lover, babe. Where lights and black beaches, miles in between us. Is this love or lust or some game on repeat? It's like making me crazy. Tell me have patience, baby. I tops in the summer. Don't be a bummer, babe. Be my undercover lover, babe. Don't be a bummer.
I'm starting to fuck with the vision if I haven't already fucked with it enough. Bringing those electronic elements. We've already kind of seen hip-hop stylings, very overt hip-hop stylings on this record so far, so it would make sense to invite a couple guys into the studio to drop some verses. We get the help from A$AP Rocky and Playboi Carti, whose verses weren't like the greatest things in the world, but I'm really starting to appreciate, I guess, the philosophy of this album, so to speak, in terms of how it's being produced and to get people in the studio. So we've already seen The Weeknd. I've already seen a couple other features that are to still show up here in the album. So this is just like Lana Del Rey and Friends at this point, which I think is honestly pretty cool. Some people are saying that they really don't like the hip hop part or they don't like the rapping sections of this. They could go without it. They were fine verses, but I mean, tonally, thematically, it all worked, and that's like the crazy thing. Like this is very hip hop forward, but it's still very Lana Del Rey. So maybe she's kind of coloring some of these Lana Del Rey songs to maybe suit, another artist a little bit better in their native genre, so to speak. A$AP has a better feature on the next song. This is Groupie Love featuring A$AP Rocky. So A$AP Rocky's back on the track with Groupie Love, not Group Love. I just started listening to Group Love again. Never Trust a Happy Song, one of the best albums of the last 25 years in my humblest of opinions. My opinion is so humble that it's actually the greatest of opinions. It's better than yours and yours. And I know you're thinking that it's not as good as yours, but it is. That's how humble it is.
You're in the club, living it up. I'm trying not to let the crowd notice me. It's so sweet, swinging to the beat. When I love you, are my groupie love, groupie love. Time after time, writing my lines, having my baby there next to me.
Front row, every show like a hype man. Sing along word for word, watch my bag. Side stage, fans screaming, causing migraines. Lamborghini, Habajin on my grade. God dang, got a nigga acting irate. My baby, die. Woo.
Groupie love, groupie love, groupie love.
So that was Groupie Love, and ladies and gentlemen, that was one of my favorite Lana Del Rey songs. That one was fantastic. Loved the progression. I loved how the composition just kind of laid itself out over time. It did build up a little bit. Really, really liking the Lana Del Rey sound with those hip-hop elements, with that percussion, that deep bass. I'll be completely honest with you here. I was really worried, and I have been worried through this entire journey, and some of it is true, but she does enough to make me kind of eat my own words that I'm saying in my head, not so much out loud. Because I don't know if I've actually ever said this before. I maybe would have said this at the end of this video, but I'll just say it right now. There is so much of Lana's music that does sound so similar to each other that it's hard to pick out one song over another. Maybe Video Games or Cola or High at the Beach. Like some of those songs that can separate themselves sonically, but a lot of it does sound the same, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. What you do get, I mean, it is quite comfortable to listen to an artist and know exactly what you're going to get. Ultraviolence broke that up a little bit because it was a little bit more bluesy, right? But you still had those elements of atmosphere, a little bit of orchestral here and there. And that's definitely the case here, but we're adding just another note on top of that. I knew that like Lana Del Rey was a pop star, but you listen to a lot of these songs, they're not very poppy, but so far, pretty much everything on this album has been, and this song is certainly no exception. It may even be maybe the crown jewel to that point. This verse was real kind of concise, and then they're harmonizing at the end, and the lower tone of, I don't listen to enough A$AP Rocky. I don't know if he's known for his singing, but here it works really well just to kind of be a lower tone underneath Lana's voice there. This one was great. I argue each Lana album has its own sound and influence, but the same lane. Some are more hip hop, some others are more old school jazzy. Agree with that each album has brought its own thing on the whole for that album to kind of differentiate itself. At least like this and Ultraviolence for sure, from an instrumental, from a sonic kind of point of view, and just how it sounds. Compositionally, they're all practically the same. Tempo-wise, chord-wise, they're all kind of the same. All right, moving on. In My Feelings. This is your favorite Lana song?
I'm taking up prisoners and taking down names. Got me feeling so blue, making me so down. Gotta leave right now, 'cause you got me in this bitch who's feeling me.
You tell him, Lana. Loving how the synths are produced on this record. Loving it. This one, it's a little repetitive towards the end, but the vibe's great. That low synth sound, it's there for me. I feel like it's been there this whole time, just coddling me and making sure I'm having a good time. Yeah, this whole scene to start the song is just fantastic. Smoking while I'm running on my treadmill. I'm coming up roses. Could it be that I fell for another loser? So she's not even being flowery about the language here in this one, folks. She's just like, I keep going out with shitty dudes and I can't help myself. I love Gerald Easy so much. Lana Stop Smoking Challenge level impossible. Well, get that cigarette smoke out of my face. Seems like she should be the only one, if she's going to have cigarette smoke, she's going to be the one smoking it. You won't be smoking it. She will be smoking the cigarettes for you. Lana's been smoking my cigarettes since 2018. Okay? Because I don't smoke cigs anymore. But when I did, I was taking all of Lana's cigs. But now Lana's smoking my cigs for me. Yeah, just kind of, this one's just kind of continuing this, sonic theme throughout what we've been getting in this album. Nothing too crazy other than, I feel like, she might be a little bit flowery with, her transgressions about any which, sour relationship that she's in. But here, no, she's just calling it out. Oh, okay. I know this is a loser, but I just can't stop. She vapes now. Vaping's like kind of cool if it means not smoking, but I know multiple people at the moment who are smoking cigarettes to try and quit vaping. And I've had to remind them that that's not how it works. Now see, I'm on the lip pillows right now. So we got Coachella, Woodstock in my mind. I was kind of worried looking at the track listing here for this because I was like, wait, is this like a live at Coachella thing? Is this a deluxe version? But no, that's just what the song is called. Coachella, Woodstock in my mind. Let's see how this goes.
Coachella, leaning on your shoulder, watching your husband swing in time. I guess I was in it, 'cause baby for a minute, it was Woodstock in my mind. Their parents, and what about all their crowns they wear, and hair so long like mine? I traded all for a stairway to heaven. I take my time for the climb up to the top of it. Give it all away if you give me just one day to ask him one question.
Is she calling for an audience with
I
God?
was at Coachella, leaning on your shoulder, watching your husband swing and shine. Thoughts your way, I traded all for a stairway to heaven. I take my time for the climb up to the top of it. I wanna stay, look what's in our
So that was Coachella, Woodstock in my mind, and I'm gonna throw this out. And if any of you guys want to catch it, be my guest. So it seems as though she's at Coachella having like some sort of existential experience, some come to Jesus moment, perhaps, where she's just thinking about all these people and their children's children, or what about their parents, and all these people have individual lives, and she's got the fame and the fortune, but right now she's one in a crowd, and how'd she trade that for a little peace of mind to ask him. Now, here in the lyrics, him is capitalized, so maybe that is, the D-O-G, but backwards, up in the sky. I was going to say the D-O-double-G, but that doesn't work. But at any rate, right? So to ask him these questions, so maybe she could have a little peace in her mind. Woodstock was all about peace, love, and all this. So maybe Woodstock is a play on like peace of mind. Not that saying that she definitely wants to die, although I don't think Lana has really shied away from the fact that she's not afraid of death. Her body's an amusement park, for God's sakes. This is all just a trip that we're all on. Now, some people have said this, but right here, after this, the album took a different turn. I saw some people say that the first half is lust, the second half is life. I'm not getting a ton of lust here. So is this the start of the life portion of this? There's definitely been a lot of lust before this. And is there a lot of lust and a lot of other Lana's music? Yeah, it's, hey, I got my needs, and I know you got needs. I can fix yours, you can fix mine. So let's make something happen. Yeah, this is giving way more life here. Lyrically, I think this one's the strongest for me, because I think you can pull a lot from this with his voice, with his words and his voice divine. So she's seeing some. Do we know what set she was watching? Because she, I think in times where you go to a show, you can have a very not out of body experience, but you definitely feel as though what you're experiencing is larger than yourself. You're kind of taken out of yourself a little bit. Maybe you become a part of, the crowd, this kind of hive mind effect that happens to you when you're at a crowd that large. Calling it a stairway to heaven. I think colloquially, that's just such a, common phrase anymore in maybe just standard English. But it just, I automatically think of Led Zeppelin. I'm a big classic rock and roll guy. So, maybe more Americana there. Now I know it's from the UK, but I mean, Led Zeppelin means a lot in the culture of this country as well. And when you say Americana, it's just, all the shared culture that we all had around that time. So let's continue with the life, which surrounds all the lust, with God Bless America and all the beautiful women in it. Amen.
Take me as I am, take me, baby, in stride. Only you can save me tonight. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You let me in, don't leave me out, or leave me dry. Even when I'm alone, I'm not lonely. I hear the sweetest melodies on the fire escapes of the city. Sounds like I am free. It's got me singing. God bless America and all the beautiful women in it.
What?
God bless America. Hear me tonight. Keep your light on, babe. I might be standing outside. You let me in, don't leave me out, or leave me dry. Even walking alone, I'm not. It's got me thinking. God bless America and all the beautiful women in it. God bless America. Lonely, there's no feet. It's got me thinking. God bless America and all the beautiful women in it. And all the beautiful people in it.
So that was God Bless America and all the beautiful women in it. Talk about Americana. It does seem that she's trying to take a little bit more of a contemporary stance here. There was a wave of a particular political structure that started on the rise in 2016, and whether what side you're on, you could probably agree that it's been very influential with a lot of the policies and ways of life which people in the Western world operate under. But with all that said, to say something a little bit more pointed here, obviously Lana's reaching her hand out to her fellow ladies of this great country of mine. And hey, no, it's tough, but you stand tall like Lady Liberty, okay? Just don't oxidize, Turn green only if you want to. And actually, no, you can't oxidize because that just means that you're standing on business. You've been standing on business. Lady Liberty's green because she's been standing on business, okay? But, by the end of the song, she's kind of extending that same kind of idea to all of the people in the United States, all of the beautiful people here. Now, I think, there's a little bit of, I think it's just easiest for me because, as far as, growing up, and I wasn't even really growing up at this time, but when This Is America by Childish Gambino came out, that was, just such a moment. This is, maybe, a little microcosm of, what's happening in this country. And as somebody who doesn't like music videos, that was definitely a music video that I watched, and everybody else watched that one. But, just the very jarring scene at the top of that video where, he's pointing the gun and shooting it at the dude's noggin. Here we're sampling the gunshots here. So it's let's celebrate it. Let's celebrate the people in it while obviously recognizing that there's danger and problems around every corner, but that shouldn't give you no reason to stand up and be proud of who you are. If Lana wasn't famous, she would for sure be an Etsy witch. Yeah, no, she would definitely work at Waffle House. No, that's definitely true. Hasn't she worked at Waffle House? Isn't that a thing? She's picked up shifts at Waffle House. I should work at Waffle House. I love Waffle House. Oh, I love Waffle House. I don't go enough. So yeah, so this is definitely giving more life than lust here. Although it could work for lust. I just love freedom. I love freedom. I love life, liberty, and the pursuit of fucking happiness. When the world was at war, we kept dancing.
Girls, don't forget your pearls and all of your horses. You're the fucking youth choreo. We just want the fucking truth. Is it the end of an era? Is it the end of America? Or before we just kept dancing? Boys, don't forget your toys and take all of your money. If you find your in, if we hold on to hope, we'll have a happy ending. When the world was at war before, we just kept dancing. When the world was at war before, we just kept dancing. War before, we just kept dancing. We'll do it again, and we'll do it again.
So this is basically Lana saying, hey, quit doom posting. You're over here saying it's so over. I'm over here saying we never left. How can we be back if we've never left? So this is a little bit of a continuation from that last track, obviously, where, you know, is this the end of an era? Is this the end of America? Maybe you can try to pull some political meaning out of that. But, like, wasn't Lana, like, isn't she, like, MAGA's favorite, like, gator farmer? Isn't that the joke? That's the joke, right? That's the joke. You know, kind of a double-edged sword, because, like, you know, if you want change, you want to prevent change, you know, there's like some real work that needs to be done. But I do see this point of, can we not, like, be doom and gloom about it? Could you not just, like, give up? Or can you still try to enjoy life? You know, we got through wars before, or maybe she's using war a little bit more symbolically here. You know, like, we've been through struggle, but it's the optimism, it's the lust for life that gets us through it. I'm excited to get into this part of the album if it's really more about, like, life, and if she's going to tackle more pointed societal issues. This one handled pretty all right. This one handled pretty okay. Beautiful People, Beautiful Problems, featuring Queen herself, Stevie Nicks.
From the view above, long live our reign, long live our love.
Is she getting ecological?
Green is the planet from the eyes of a turtle dove. But we're just beautiful people with beautiful problems. Yeah. Beautiful problems, God knows we've got them. Blue is the color of the shirt of the man I love. He's hard at work, hard to the touch, but warm is but we're just beautiful people with beautiful problems. Yeah. Beautiful problems, God knows we've got them, but we gotta try. Line a line. Problems, God knows we've got beautiful people. Beautiful people with beautiful problems. We're just
was Beautiful People, Beautiful Problems, featuring Queen Stevie. I will refer to Stevie Nicks as nothing other than Queen Stevie. And another really good feature here, another really good collaboration, I thought. I mean, it's Stevie fucking Nicks. She sounded great in this song, really complimented Lana's voice, too. I feel like, in a way, you really can make a connection, a lineage. You know, there is a branch of the family tree of music where you get Stevie Nicks, and somewhere down the line, closely related, you do get Lana Del Rey. They're both held in very high regard amongst their fans, and I feel like there is a big overlap between them. You know, Stevie was just such a role model for so many back in the day, and I feel like Lana fills a similar role. But yeah, so kind of continuing this theme of life in this part of the record. Blue is the color of the planet from the world above. Green is the planet from the eyes of a turtle dove. So it's almost like, you know, she's using these colors, you know, till it turns red, runs red with blood. So between red, green, and blue, you know, not only are they naturally occurring colors, but you know, they're colors that signify certain things. So she's using the symbolism within those colors here, which is like, you know, cute, right? It just is. So she's kind of painting this broad brush between whether or not it's, you know, pro-ecological thing, right? Pro-environmentalism. We get Stevie's verse, you know, blue is the color of the shirt of the man I love. So having, you know, an affinity towards blue-collar workers. So, you know, we all share this planet. We all have problems. It even goes to, you know, John and Jane Q, taxpayer, you know, who are just trying to get to work every day. So kind of focusing in on maybe a certain character or a specific type of person after we've painted so broad of a brush in that first part of the song. But yeah, this was cool. I was just in it for the vibes. I was in it for Queen Stevie. Her voice is just like heaven. Stevie Nicks is just iconic. This song is just a chef's kiss. I thought it was a great collab on this one. Tomorrow Never Came, featuring Sean Lennon, which is crazy. Sean Lennon not working with Les Claypool at the moment, I guess.
Hey, what you doing? 'Cause if I had my way, you would always stay, and I'd be your tiny dancer, honey. I waited for you. You said to meet me up there tomorrow, but tomorrow never came. Tomorrow never.
Hey, what you thinking? Penny for your thoughts. Those lights are blinking on that old jukebox. Baby, stay on the side of paradise in the Tropic of Cancer. 'Cause if I had my way, you would always stay. Roses out in your country house. We play guitar in your barn. And every day felt like Sunday, and I wish we'd stay home. And I could. No, tomorrow never came.
Very nice. Very nice. You know, it hasn't been too different up until this point, but, you know, on this half of the album, so to speak, there has been a tiny difference in instrumentation, and I really like the instrumentation here, if a little too on the nose. It is very reminiscent of a Beatles song. It's very George Harrison, especially when you get to these lines. On that side of paradise in the Tropic of Cancer.
On that side of paradise in the Tropic of Cancer.
Like that, it's like something. Like, it sounds very similar.
attracts me like no other lover.
And then if we go back,
Side of paradise in the tropic of Cancer.
no, that's exactly it. So I really do like I really do like that nod there. She's referencing the Beatles, a little on the nose with Sean Lennon, but so be it, right? It sounds good. It's calling back to that. It fits. And she's referencing Tiny Dancer. So we've seen references to, you know, the Beach Boys with Don't Worry, Baby. And even further back as far as just like general Americana with those little doo-wop and shoo-wop little ad-libs in the second song on the album, I believe. So we're still referencing Americana, but then she becomes self-referential to our favorite song, Lennon and Yoko. Isn't life crazy, I said. Now that I'm singing with Sean, whoa, oh. Okay. They harmonized really well here. Another really good collab. Yeah, it was really just that one little rap section with Playboi Carti and A$AP Rocky that didn't really work for me as much, but all the other collabs here have really done benefits for the harmonization and how they've kind of handled that. You know, in a way, you could argue that this song maybe belongs on the lust part of things. You know, having somebody that you want, but you can't get them, or that you waited for them, and maybe they never showed up. But that's also just a part of life. You said you'd meet me out there tomorrow, but tomorrow never came. Though, am I, like, looking too far into it? I don't know. But I think that's something to be said about Lana and her songwriting on a lot of songs on this record. And whether or not I'm questioning if I'm looking too far into it. Because if you give me a long enough leash, I think there's a lot to kind of pick apart here. You could actually, she might even be self-referential here on that side of paradise. There's more to this Lana lady. I think a lot of people give her credit for. Heroin.
Life rocked me ultra softly, like the heavy metal that you wear. I'm flying to the moon again, dreaming about heroin, how I gave you everything, baby. The bank is hot today, Manson's in the air, and all my friends like the heavy metal that you hear. I'm flying to the moon
Tasteful guitar
again,
lick.
dreaming about heroin and how I get writing in blood on my walls and shit. Like, oh my God, tripping off from the walls into the docks and shit. Dreaming about marzipan, taking all my medicine to take my thoughts away. I'm getting on that aeroplane, leaving my old man again. Baby, it's hot, something about the city, don't know what it is, it makes me. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't sick of it.
So that was Heroin there. And I think it all gets kind of summed up right here. Taking all my medicine to take my thoughts away. So I think this is, you know, an exploration to escapism through the means of chemistry, right? You know, life's better with chemistry, to quote a phenomenal Queens of the Stone Age song, but it's just a general saying, right? I'm not really sure what Topanga means here. If it's just somebody that she knows, or if they're talking about the girl from Boy Meets World, but like Manson's in the air. All my friends have gone because they still feel him here. So this maybe sense of doom or just death is kind of looming over there. Life rocked me like Motley. So obviously Motley Crue being the reference there. And if you know anything about the history of Motley Crue, the big Heroin band. They loved heroin a lot. And Nikki Sixx particularly has this famous story of him overdosing, coming back to life with 2 adrenaline shots just for him to overdose again. And that's when he finally quit. But just to, I think it's fine to call that out here in a song called Heroin when it's like the biggest heroin band to have existed outside of just Jerry Garcia. Her vocals. I could eat that up all day, and I think I will. New diet just started, whatever the fuck this is. Topanga, California is a place. Probably that. That makes a lot of sense. This one's a little bit slower, so it is kind of a change of pace, especially when looking at the top of the album. But the vocals in the bridge were fantastic. And it really does just seem like it's about the reasons maybe why we go towards, escapism through substance, right? When it just gets too hot to bear, everybody's going crazy. I'm taking this as completely symbolic and metaphorical here. Put you on the airplane destined to a foreign land, when you're high in the sky and you're flying, it's that kind of a thing. And maybe seeing it as a distraction that might be worse for you than it is good, because that's definitely heroin can be like. I've never done it. Hey, can anybody get me some hair? No, don't do that. Change.
There's something in the wind, I can feel it blowing in. It's coming in highly, and it's coming in strong. Lately I've been to be faithful. Change is a powerful thing. I feel it coming in me. Maybe by the time summer's done, I'll be able to be honest, capable. Because every time that we run, we don't know what it's from. Now we finally slow down, we feel close to it. There's a change gonna come, I don't know where or when, but whenever it does, we'll be here for it. And taste it turning sour, it's bitter, I'm coughing, but now it's in my blood. Maybe by the time summer's done, I'll be able to be honest, capable of holding you in my arms without letting you fall when I don't feel beautiful or stable. It does, we'll be here for it. Yeah, whenever it does, we'll be here for it.
So I think that's kind of the point, when we talk about pacing and where a song is on an album and what that song kind of brings to the table. This one's a lot slower. It's towards the end of the album. It's a little too slow for this album though, just because it's a longer album. We're close to the end and it's not the end. So there was a little bit of me like really trying to stay with this one. But it wasn't that hard, just given some of the ideas that we're playing around with. If we want to buy into this idea that the second half of this album is the life part of it, it's change is a powerful thing. People are powerful beings, so that we're all capable of change, but it's not like that comes very easy. And, something changing means saying goodbye to something else, saying hello to another thing, but, maybe it's a little too hard to say goodbye to that old self or whatever you're changing from. And that's what kind of calls upon maybe the slower nature, the more melancholic nature of this track. So thematically, it works with, if we want to buy into the idea that the second half of this album is maybe the life section, just trying to encapsulate as many life experiences as you can, and Change is a big one. Change is a very big one. Not my favorite of all time, but, there are those little points of the song where she's just doing some funny shit with her voice, and I like it. When I say funny shit, just like whatever she does with her voice. I feel like I'm very low right now. Should have kept it off. Didn't really add anything to the worth of the album. I would say in the sense that, it helps the dynamic. It helps the dynamics of the album a little bit just because it is so much slower. But I think Lana Del Rey on the whole, she makes slower songs anyway. So this one really felt not drag is the wrong word, but I think if I was maybe just listening to this, maybe outside of a reaction, I really wouldn't have even been around and been present enough to even catch some of the themes that are going on in the lyrics. This was the last song that she wrote for the album, and it was a last-minute addition. I mean, it seems pretty bare bones, Skipped this song a lot when first listening to Lana due to the slowness, when one day it clicked, and I really felt it. I think there is something here, and again, this is my first reaction. This is my first experience with this album. I do see the meat in this one, especially in how it relates to the rest of the album. But it doesn't necessarily pop me anywhere specifically. But with all that said, we have one track left to go to finish out this behemoth of an album. Get Free.
I'm crossing the threshold from the ordinary world to the reveal of my heart. And for all of us who never got the chance.
I get it. It's Creep by Radiohead. This is Creep by Radiohead.
And all my blues into the blue. There's no more chasing rainbows and hoping for an end to them. Their arches are illusions, solid. I get off, but I keep riding the ride. I never really noticed that I had to decide to play someone's game or live my own life, and now I do. Out of the black into the blue.
Those vocals are so clear right there. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. So that was the last track off of Lust for Life. And if this is the culmination of everything, Lust and Life, I think thematically this is like a very proper send-off to the album, because I feel as though there were points in the album where she's talking about things, especially with maybe that last song. Change might be something that's very difficult. We're all capable of it, but that doesn't necessarily make it any easier. And, there were times in this, where was it? God Bless America and all the beautiful women in it. When the world was at war and we kept dancing, actually. So during when the world was at war and we kept dancing, and during Change, there is this similar theme between those two songs where it's change is necessary, but it's a very difficult thing. It's very kind of scary. There might be terrible things going on around us, but let's continue to dance. Let's continue to be optimistic. Now, my one criticism to that idea, where I do agree with it to a point, is there is some work that needs to be done. If you want to see real change, be the change you want to see in the world. And I think that's what Get Free is all about. She's breaking out of this mold that she's found herself in, and she's kind of owning everything in between. She's owning the move forward. She's owning what she's done, because without realizing that and looking at it, you can't move forward as something that you want to move away from. Obviously, I was joking around because this was the song, and I can't believe we finally got to it, that I had heard in the movie. I didn't know about this before I watched the movie Heretic. You know, he's all talking about like iterations, you know, Hugh Grant's character talking about iterations, how religions are just iterations of the same thing, and how that happens to be the case with music sometimes. And the example that they use, there could have been so many different examples. He used Creep by Radiohead and Get Free by Lana Del Rey. It's the same chord progression here. I thought it worked just fine. It's a very simple chord progression. And I think she was using the 4 chords, like the 4 chords of the Apocalypse in the first couple songs of the album, although I forget which one. But at any rate, I want to get off, but I keep riding the ride. I never really noticed that I had to decide to play someone's game or to live my own life. I think that's really the meat of this song. And I say this a lot on the channel. You buy the ticket, you take the ride. And I kind of apply that to a lot of different things here. But I think you have a little bit more control over your ride than I think any given person gives himself enough credit for. And that is kind of what she's getting out of all this. So we'll take that into the conclusions aspect of this. This one's staying with me a lot more than Honeymoon did. And I like aspects of Honeymoon, but really it's, you know, Paradise, Ultraviolence, and I'd welcome this into the mix. Mainly because I think out of any of her other albums, this is a little bit more of a concept album, so to speak. And, you know, I didn't clock it immediately. Maybe I could have clocked it without anybody telling me. Who knows if that was the case? Hindsight's 2020, right? But, you know, this idea of the first part of the album being lust, the second half being maybe just about like life in general. But you don't necessarily lose that lust for life in the life part of it. You know, obviously, if you're alive, you obviously agree with most of the things that come with being alive, and enjoying those things therein. So even when she's kind of talking about maybe the downtrodden nature of some of these things, it's, you know, it's the other side of the coin that you fight for. It's that peace, you know, it's that Woodstock in your mind. It's that festival in your mind, that peace of mind that you're really fighting for no matter what. So looking at it kind of as a tale of two halves there for the album, I think that works pretty well. I don't know if they were just more references to things that I clocked, but references to all these other bands, Motley Crue, the Beach Boys. I forget which song it was, but this thing of like change is always in the wind and it's blowing. I take that as a Bob Dylan reference, you know, blowing in the wind. The answers are blowing in the wind. I think you can take even more meaning out of that and kind of see the songbook in which Lana Del Rey has kind of operated in, or if songbook is the wrong phrase, you know, like maybe this was like what she was listening to when she was recording this album, with songs like Heroin, if you want to talk about it, as I interpreted it, something of like escapism through the means of substances. You referenced Motley Crue because that was like, I mean, they're very prolific heroin users, for God's sakes. They didn't stop them from rocking, but, you know, so you see these talented people who seem to have everything, but, you know, they still need to escape from something. You know, there is something in this life that just is, you know, there is this inherent just darkness to it all. Like it's all going to end. We're not going to get out of it alive. So why not carve out your own meaning, carve out your way? How about we get free? I thought a lot of the collabs here were very interesting. I love the one with the titular track, Lust for Life, I thought was fantastic. Summer Bummer, I already kind of wrote off the song because you already have Summertime Sadness. Summer Bummer means the exact same thing. And yes, I'm going to hit you with syntax. It means the exact same thing. A$AP Rocky Playboy. It was nice to kind of just hear the hip-hop beat and just to hear Lana on that, but I could have taken a remix. However, Groupie Love was brilliant. Loved that one. Yeah, so I'd say outside of, you know, Ultraviolence, I was really loving the instrumentals, the production. I thought Dan Auerbach killed that album. But the production on this one was fantastic too. The first half of the album, the Lust part, I guess, was very, very fun. When you have 16 tracks, you have more room for error. I guess I was more so into the ideas of the second half of the album than I was maybe the instrumentation, maybe a lot of the production choices that they were using. But as far as theming, as far as lyrics go, I'd say it hasn't been since Paradise that I've been like as in tune with what she's been saying. Is that because, again, this isn't the case for every Lana Del Rey song, but a lot of it is, and I've said it once, I'll say it before. I'm a bad bitch. I like getting nasty and dirty and messy. How about we go out? Right? It's that kind of thing. And there was that at the top of the album, but with what I thought were just very, very, very fun compositions while still being Lana Del Rey. A lot of this album, it didn't really pull me apart. I'd even say, really, the song that really feels the least like Lana Del Rey was probably Tomorrow Never Came, just because the instrumentation referenced the Beatles so much there, outside of that one little phrase where it just sounds exactly like something. I thought, other than that, it still kind of sounded like the Beatles. And that's just her giving, I think Just Desserts to... Not Just Desserts, but I think that's her kind of tipping her cap and kind of recognizing that she stands on the shoulders of giants. Not only is she referencing all this shit about Americana and nostalgia, but also with that nostalgia, with Americana, her musical role models exist within that sphere. So I thought here a little bit more specifically, she was trying to show that on this record. Completely agree. It's so much better than Honeymoon. And that's not this, because like if you already love Lana Del Rey, you're gonna fucking love Honeymoon because it's just more the same. And I'll be honest, as far as everything that we've listened to from her, that one's stuck to me the least. But this one I liked. It's a little long, calls for a little bit too much. I think, as some of the people in chat have said, if you take Change and Summer Bummer out, you have something that's a little bit more edible in just like a standard listen. But even with those songs, you're still getting the Lana Del Rey vibe. It's still just nice. Get in the bathtub, light a candle, throw on a Lana Del Rey album. You'll have a great evening. You said people either say it's a flop or it's bad. I've seen people say that Ultraviolence is really bad and that some of the lyrics in there didn't work, but I like it for other reasons. So I'd say this one's definitely in the top 3 for me so far. I know we haven't listened to that many Lana Del Rey albums, but this one's coming out near the top for me. However, we will continue the Lana Del Rey journey with objectively the album I've been the most excited for to listen to this entire time. Norman fucking Rockwell is up next. I hope to get to it sooner rather than later. Just bear with me as we get to some other albums I've really wanted to do and some other new releases as they come out. I know that Lana Del Rey is supposedly supposed to have a new album early next year in 2026. Hopefully we're all caught up by then, or I might have to skip an album or two, but we should get to Norman Rockwell before then. So that was my reaction to Lust for Life by Lana Del Rey. Really liked a lot of the ideas that we were playing with here. Really liked the idea of kind of a tale of two halves of an album. Almost 2 albums, so to speak there. And it was almost long enough for that. But anyway, please let me know your thoughts on my thoughts down in the comments below. Remember that if you want to catch us live, make sure you click one of the links down in the description. And if you want to see this reaction along with all my other Lana Del Rey reactions, uncut and before they come out on YouTube, go ahead and check out my Patreon where you can get just that for only $1. And if you want to be a part of these credits, there are tiers for that as well. But with that said, I've been Jerry Bees. You've been awesome. Take it easy.
Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog.